Hello and welcome back to Gowerton Parkway. You join me today for a long overdue update on my new exhibition layout, Bradwell Point. Now, I do apologise for the lack of videos that have been produced recently. I've been extremely busy. I've been doing lots of things on the layout upstairs, trying to get that working, and I've been working hard on the exhibition layout. I know I promised I'd get update videos as I was producing the layout out, but unfortunately I've just not had the time to be able to do it and get this layout finished. Now, I'm making this video today as I know that the layout has already broken cover at its first major exhibition. So this past weekend we took the layout to the GCR model event at Corn. We were in the tent there for 3 days, over the Friday, Saturday and the Sunday at the model event, and we had a fantastic debut weekend with the layout. I thought it was probably fair now that I update you all on the layout and get you some good shots of it, explain what I've done and how I've built it, as the layout's now officially out on the exhibition circuit and some of you will already have seen it. So I do apologise. The intention was to get a video out of the layout prior to it going onto the exhibition circuit, but unfortunately things haven't panned out that way. I've been extremely busy. I've just secured myself a career change as well out of my current job into a new occupation, and it's taken up a lot of my time. So apologies, but I will get straight on with the update and let you know exactly what I've been doing. Thank you all for your patience and for sticking with the channel. The first thing I'll do in this video is introduce you to the nuclear flask, which forms the basis of the layout. The nuclear flask is a wagon that's been used for the past 35 plus years in the United Kingdom for transporting nuclear waste from power stations that are either active or being decommissioned. Now, I have a particular interest in the nuclear flask trains myself, as when I was growing up back in Essex we used to see a few of these trains running through my hometown of Wickford, and they were pretty much the only decent hauled freight trains that we had through that area at the time, typically being hauled by class 20 or class 37 locomotives. There was nothing else at all really going through the station, my local station, which was a bit of a disappointment. All we had was electrical multiple units, so naturally I gathered a bit of an interest around these trains. So in front of you is one of the nuclear flask wagons. This is an FNA wagon. These wagons normally run in consist today behind 2 locomotives, either double-headed or top and tailed, and there's a vast range of locomotives that you can see pulling these from class 66s, class 68s, and recently you would have been able to see them being pulled by class 37s and class 20s, but that kind of traffic is declining now as it's all primarily being pulled by class 68s as far as I'm aware. Anyway, this layout focuses on the earlier nuclear flask trains. So the flask trains that you'll see running on this layout run from about 1990 through to, I'd say, about 2004. So you're going to catch the late era of the rail freight movements, the early period of privatisation where EWS were looking after the trains, through into early DRS era. So there's going to be quite a lot of things running. One of the main reasons that I wanted to do a nuclear flask depot is basically because it allows you to run prototypical length trains on a short layout. Now, this layout in total is only 6 foot long, but it allows me to run prototypical length trains. I want to be able to take something to an exhibition that's as close to prototype as possible, and short of doing another TMD or stabling point, this seemed like the best logical step for me. I'm going to get straight into it now and start going through what I've done, how I built things on the layout, and if you have any more questions or need more information on the prototypes, just let me know and I'll be more than happy to talk you through that. So the baseboards. These baseboards are Tim Horn baseboards, which are laser cut boards which have been made of plywood. They are absolutely fantastic kits and they go together extremely easily. This particular layout is broken into 3 modules. So you've got the far end module on the right hand side, which hides the fiddle yard. You've got this here now, which is effectively the centre module, and the centre module is the entry to the yard, and it's a scenic area where the layout will cut through an embankment, and then you've got the left hand side of the layout, which is actually the flask terminal itself. So this first board is the fiddle yard board. You have to excuse the dodgy camera angle. This is currently set up in my kitchen and there's not much room to move around the layout. This is the fiddle yard area. It's just simply 2 tracks running into the layout, and then the 3rd track that you can see nearest the wall is a programming track which I use for programming the DCC controllers There's nothing flash about this fiddle yard. It's literally just code 75 track running down into the main area of the layout. That shows this area will typically be stocked up with locomotives and wagons ready to move around, and you'll be able to probably sneak around the back of this at a show and see what's going to be coming out next. But yeah, this is it. Very simple, nothing fancy, no cassettes or intermovable lines, etc. Just a straightforward piece of track. The next part of the layout that you can see is the first Scenic board. Now the first Scenic board has been created with an embankment to the right and the left of the rails that the rails cut through, and you'll see there's a line where there's that class 73 locomotive and some wagons stored. That is literally used as a head shunt, and then the line nearest us, as we look at it on the camera, that line is actually the main entry and exit line from the nuclear flask depot. I've decided to incorporate a head shunt onto the layout to create more prototypical run-in. Prototypically, you wouldn't have a line, two lines running directly into a depot. There'd need to be some sort of protection for runaway trains. So the furthest line is modelled as a head shunt, and I'm just leaving a couple of abandoned wagons in there for effect. I have created within that an overgrown effect, which I will try and show you now. I've created some bushes there, and you'll see that the grass is sort of coming through the rails, etc., and it's looking quite unkept. So on the left hand side of the shot there's a slope that runs down from the road. This slope would be effectively what the traffic would come down to into the nuclear flask loading point. This slope has been made with, it's just grey board, and the concrete effect has been created by dabbing match pots onto the grey board with a sponge. So I tend to work from the lightest colour through to the darkest colour and then go back over it with the lightest colour again. The boards have then been scored to create concrete panel lines, and I've highlighted those with weathering powder so that you can see the joins in where the actual concrete is cast. The foliage across the back is a combination of seafoam trees and polyfibre, and those have all been decorated and enhanced with various different scatters. Primarily they've been done with knock leaves, and it creates a prototypical sort of tree effect, and that's the same here. And the embankments have an initial layer of static grass on them, and I will just take you over to another part of that to show you. So here you can see the static grass application. I've left a gap in the hedges here so the viewers at the exhibitions can look through and see things that are coming in and out of the layout. I think it provides quite a nice effect, and it lets you see what's down in those sidings, etc. Now I've made some bushes here. These bushes have been scratch built. If you can see, you scratch built a bush. There's a special method that I've used using string to create these. I'll go through that in a future video if anybody's interested in that, and show you how to do that. And then here you can see the bridge, and I've gone for the cliche bus on a bridge, which is common on a lot of model railways. Moving on now to the flask end of the layout, where the flask would be unloaded. I will show you a few of the details there. I've started by putting a porter cabin for accommodation for the staff that would run trains in and out of the depot. These are the excellent scale model scenery kits from Justin Noble. These are brilliant value. They're about a tenner for the pair of them, and once you make them up and weather them, they come out superbly. I'm going to be getting more of these to go on Galton Parkway up in the loft, because I think they really do the job. I had a Backman porter cabin in there originally, and it was pretty rubbish, to be honest with you. So I've switched it out for these, and considering these are just laser cut card, they really do the trick. The compound area, which you can see behind the fences there, these fences are all Wills kits. I think it's Pico that are in charge of that now. They've got a modern range, and those are the parts of those kits there. Across the back, I've just created more sort of bush to try and blend the scene together, just to show that it's not very well looked after, etc., and help it blend into the back scene. Now the back scene, incidentally, This photography, this was one of the main questions that I get about the layout, is where did you get the back scene? Now the back scene is actually my own photography. It's taken down an area quite local to me in Swansea, down at Margam, where there's a big freight yard there, and it's overlooks the Bock gases plant and the steelworks, etc. So it gave a nice industrial feel, and the steelworks in the background there, which the camera's pointed directly at, I think I can just about blag that as a distant power station. So, you know, I'm really happy with that. It's unique, and nobody else has got anything like this back scene wise. So I'm really pleased with it. I took a similar photo for the back scene up on Gowerton Parkway. But this, yeah, I'm pleased with this. Now what I've done, I was experimenting quite a lot with different ways to produce back scenes, and the back scenes, to be honest, they're an absolute pain in the backside to try and get them to lay flat when you're sticking them to backboards on a layout. So what I did to try to get around this was have them printed directly onto Foamex by a company called printed.com. I literally just measured out the size of the photos, uploaded the photos online, ordered them, and they came in the post, and I just dropped them into place on the layout. And they are, as you can see them there, and it's just saved me so much hassle. For a layout of this size, it's a really effective way to do it, and it's cheap as well. Sorry, it's not cheap. They're about £70–80 for the whole back scenes, which I suppose if you look at it, it's not too bad for a layout of this size. But if you've got a bigger layout that you want to be working on, then it could get expensive, especially if you're doing things like going around corners, etc. This might not be the way forward for you, but for Tim Horn baseboard packs, I think that's a really effective way of doing it, and that's what I'd do again if I built a layout in Tim Horn baseboards. I would buy something that I could just drop directly into the back. So moving down to this end of the layout, you can see the road continues off behind a set of double gates. The idea being that the lorries would come from up the top, over the road, through the compound, and then out of that exit. A lot of these nuclear flask depots have big turning points for the lorries that come into, but there's no room. If I wanted to incorporate that on this board, it would have eaten up a lot of the space that I've got for other features. So I've literally just left it so that you would have a lorry run in from the top, drop off and pick up, and then out of the gates at the back. Again, this has all been blended in using trees with the same method. It's pretty much all polyfiber, knock leaves. You've got the seafoam trees, etc. And then some of the little bushes that I've made there, again, have been made with string, etc., which I can do another video on if people are interested. A lot of the ground cover has been produced with sand. There's static grass everywhere. I wanted to make this look a bit quite overgrown. This near side siding that you can see, which runs along here, let me just try and adjust the camera, runs along here. At exhibitions, you'll see various locomotives being shunted into there, just rolling into the yard on various trains. Little engineers trains will drop into there. That's kept as a stabling point and general point for usage of locomotives that are in the area, so it allows me to keep things fresh and run some other stuff onto the layout that isn't just flask trains. Now, part of this layout, obviously you will see that it runs into a dead end, and I need to be able to uncouple nuclear flasks from locomotives and run them round. Now, I didn't want to be constantly dropping my hand into this layout, so I've used a form of auto-uncoupling called the Brian Kirby method. So if I show you what I've done, I put some magnets underneath the tracks, and if you run a train over, the hook will lift and then drop. This allows you to shunt wagons in, release them, and then move the locomotive that's put them in place away. Now, this is quite a simple method. Underneath the board, there are neodymium magnets, which are strong, powerful, big fat magnets that you can get off of eBay. They're strategically positioned around the layout. And then the couplings on the bottom of these locomotives, on the bottom of these wagons, are slightly modified. Let me see if I can just bring this up a bit closer for you to see. Okay, so let's see if I can zoom in on that. You see there that there's a staple effectively soldered onto the coupling hook, and that provides the magnetic piece of the coupling that the magnet will pull down. So the magnet attracts that, pulls it down, and the coupling rises. It's a really simple method. It's taken a lot of tweaking to get it right, and I'm still working on it at the moment. And I will show you effectively now how that will work with the locomotive. The locomotives that are pulling these wagons need to have coupling bars on them rather than your standard NEM couplings, so that they can hook on and off of the actual locomotives. But I'll quickly show you now why. Excuse that whistle, I got no idea what that was about. But there you go, you can see that that's a fairly effective method there. I really don't know what that whistle's about, sorry. Right, so I've just turned that off now because it's randomly whistling away to us. What I found is if you're doing this method, it is fiddly, very, very fiddly to try and get the hoops all correct on the locomotives. I started off with a very thin wire gauge, which presented me with some problems when shunting. I was finding the wire hoop was slipping over and under the NEM couplings on the wagons. After experimentation, I found out that the best gauge of wire for you to use to create the coupling hoops is about 0.8 millimeters. That seems to offer a happy medium between a thinner and a thicker gauge, and it gives that bit of width to push onto the couplings with. I think one of the benefits from it is that it will actually allow you to retain the detailing on the front of the locomotives. What you're looking at the moment is a slightly thicker gauge of wire. It's 0.9, but yeah, 0.8, and you should be fine there if you want to adopt that method. It's called the Brian Kirby method, and again, it's done with neodymium magnets placed underneath the track at strategic positions. So I've got magnets under the first panel of the gate here, under the first panel of the gate there, and then if we pop over into the yard here, I've got magnets placed, oh, excuse me, by those two orange workers there, and then by the orange worker that you can sort of see through the gantry there. That gives me points where I know I need to stop the locomotives from. I found on the layouts debut show the best place to operate the layout from was from behind, so I had a good view of where all my little markers are for uncoupling. And I've got another magnet down in this part of the layout, just so you can run a locomotive in with some wagons, release, shunt forward slightly, and then run another loco off scene to pull that train away. It is a fiddly method. It's going to take me a while to get it perfected. There were some teething issues with it when I ran the layout at the Great Central Railway, but when you build a layout and you try something new, there's always going to be experiments that need to be done. So what I'll do now, I will quickly show you underneath the layout, show you a couple of the things that I've put in place and talk you through the electronics, etc. And that should pretty much wrap everything up for us there. So this is the wiring underneath the layout, and this is I'm pretty much the only section of the layout that I can point the camera at the moment. It's been set up in the kitchen following the GCR show, just so I can do a few tweaks to it and get some more stuff ready for it for its next outing at Penarth in a few weeks' time. I'll just talk you through what I've done and the basic wiring methods. So the bus wire I've done, as you can see here, is with copper tape. This is a method that I'd read about and I thought I'd give a go. It's been actually really effective. It's allowed me to just drop wires onto it as and where I want. So it's, you know, it's a really effective and simple way of actually being able to create your bus wire. All the point motors I've used, they're Gauge Master ones. They're the ones with decoders built in. They're just solenoid ones. And again, the frogs changes, the auto frogs, which you can't see, they're just off shot. They attach to these green wires here. They're Gauge Master ones, and they all pretty much just run off of the bus wire. So it's such an easy way to be able to build the layout and get it up and running. And you know, if I ever need to add any further accessories, or I want to add anything to the bus wire, or I need to change anything around, I can just do it. So to link the boards together, I've used these funky little socket type things. Now I've used those to avoid the need for me having to use chock blocks everywhere around the layout and unscrew things when I'm at shows. So granted, these do screw into chock blocks. I could have soldered them directly onto the bus wire, but I haven't bothered doing that. When I break the layout down, I just separate these, and then the layout becomes removable. It separates into the two sections. You can see the wing nuts underneath that hold the layout together, so I'll just pop this back together, otherwise I won't be able to get back into the layout. I'll forget about how to do that later on when I'm trying to run trains and nothing's moving. Here you can see some of the magnets mentioned in the previous section. They're just put into various different places that I require them, and they can be used then on the layout as and where required. Not really much else to talk you through underneath here, to be honest. It's kind of simple. I don't like wiring with model railways. They really do my head in. So I've kept it as simple as possible. I think all these Gauge Master products that they offer for running electrofrog points, which is what are on this layout, are blooming brilliant. They make it so easy for you to do. If all this stuff had been around when I'd started building the layout in the loft, I would have built the whole layout with electrofrogs. But unfortunately, it's all been done with install frogs because wiring isn't really something that I enjoy doing, and the only other way that I know how to do electrofrogs is through seep point motors and acres and acres and reams of wire. So I just didn't bother. But yeah, you can see how that looks, and it's pretty simple. It's not the neatest, but it'll do. So what I do now, I'll just quickly go back up onto the top of the layout. I'll show you a few shots of things running about in the layout. Just before we move into the video of some things running on the layout, I'd just like to say a couple of thanks to people that have assisted me along the way with it. The layout is still in early stages, I'd say. In essence, I've got a few things I actually want to change on it, more detail I want to add, but throughout the way there's a couple of people I'd like to thank. I would like to thank my good friend John from Junction Road TMD, who's always there to give me some advice and ideas if I need them on various little different pieces of scenery. If I do something, I tend to talk it over with John first. John's got a lot of good experience with railway modelling, and he knows exactly what he's doing when it comes to creating nice little cameos on the layout. I'd like to thank Mike Buick as well. He's just been kicking my ass all the way through the process of building this layout. A lot of you will know it's been all over Facebook as I've been building it. I should have been doing it on YouTube, but I literally haven't had the time to produce and edit videos, which I'm really sorry for. But he's been commenting on my photos and chatting to me about different ways he would do things, and trying to push me that little bit harder to make it more realistic, and come up with some good suggestions there. Also, thanks to Richard Croft at Road and Rails for all his help with the sound fitted stuff for the layout. We've got loads of nice stuff on here now, and he's played a big part in that. This 08 shunter, or sorry, it's an 09, he's fitted that with lights and sound, and that's one of the main locos on the layout. It pretty much, if you come to a show, you'll see that running, whichever era is running on the layout. He worked really hard on that, fitting the lights and sound in that for me, so thanks to him. And then last, thanks to my wife really for putting up with all the mess and crap and junk everywhere. The fact I've always got a railway stuff covering the kitchen. The fact that I've killed a kitchen table with solder burns and drill marks. Yeah, she's very tolerant. So yeah, thanks for that. I will crack on now and show you the stuff running, and hopefully you'll enjoy. Cheers. Thank you. Thank you for watching this video. If you'd like to see more of the layout, you can follow it on Facebook by searching for @Bradwell Point, or on Instagram by searching for @Gowerton_Parkway. If you'd like to see the layout in the flesh, you can see it at the Penarth Model Railway exhibition on the 6th and 7th of July, and then in September we'll be taking the layout to the Swansea show, followed by the Great Electric Train show in October, and then in January we'll be going to Bognor Regis with the layout, along with the Small Model Railway show in Cardiff, followed by Abingdon in March, and then further bookings as and beyond then. A full list of the bookings and exact dates can be found on the Facebook page for Bradwell Point. Thanks very much, and I look forward to seeing you all soon. Bye bye.